Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this Monday's edition of National Matters. You remember that the last time I requested the FDD President, Madam EDITH NAWAKWI, to make a comeback as we talk about agriculture. And my wife and I are very passionate. We believe that one day we will live in a country that is clean, a country where people are full, a people that are happy, and a people that will be voting not because of the handouts, but voting intelligently, knowing that they've made a decision and this is the country that I want to live in. In the studio with me, please welcome Madam EDITH NAWAKWI. Welcome, and it's a joy to have you in the studio.
Thank you very much for having me back here. I'm truly honored and grateful that you're able to create this time for us to discuss our future and what we can do as a people instead of receiving handouts.
Absolutely. I know, dear Cabinet TV viewers, that my president has hands full with family assignments and everything, so we may not go as expected. The program will be shortened so that she can attend to other matters. We'll get straight into food security. Is food a political subject or it is a traditional subject?
Find a hungry man, you are likely to make that man or woman angry. And if you look at the world over, wherever you have civil strife, wherever people are angry, it's about food. You talk of Tunisia, you talk of many parts of the world. I think that a well-fed person, the food nourishes the brain and allows them to think objectively. But if you really want to see how angry a people can be, deprive them of food. Make it unaffordable, make it unavailable, then you will know that food is a political subject. And therefore, to quote late Yusuf Wali, he said to me when I visited them in Egypt, when he was Minister of Agriculture and the Prime Minister, late Yusuf Wali, may his soul rest in peace, he said to me that agriculture is the most important ministry in any government. And he said to me, keep that. You've been given the portfolio of Minister of Agriculture. Look at it as the most important ministry, because you can't get the soldiers to war if they are not eaten. So he said to me that there are three things which form part of political security of a republic. That's food, medicine, and defense. You can't have a soldier on the street if they haven't eaten. When that soldier is injured, you need to get them to the hospital. So the security of a nation is not even about energy, it's about a full stomach. And when I'm sick, I must go to the hospital. And when I'm threatened, I must be defended. So it revolves around a people having enough. Whether it is in the Bible, I think that the beauty of the story of Joseph is all about food. You see that wherever you go, it's about food. They are collecting food. Where there's no food, you find people in the fields in the Bible picking up the grains which are left in the field. So for me, I think that if we take care of our food, everything else falls into place. When I was Minister of Agriculture and Minister of Finance, I noticed some peculiar phenomenon for Zambia. Whenever we had excess stock of food, the exchange rate went down. Everything balanced. You'd even have extra money in the treasury because you can export the food. If you don't have food, you need to look for money to import the grain. And that's where, for me, I think that our focus should be on food. Food. And I want to say something that you don't have to have food in your granary for you to be food secure. There are countries like Madagascar. They don't have fields. But because they are cash secure, cash security causes them to have food security. And this is even evident in Lusaka. The people who live in Roma, the people who live in Kablonga, they don't have fields, but they are cash secure, they can buy their food. But we tend to think that our relatives in the village, all they need is subsistence, and that's where we've created a problem. We need to break the belief that if I give 8 bags of fertilizer to someone in Mugubudu, they grow, say, maila, which is sorghum, then they are food secure. That doesn't mean security. Because a family doesn't just need starch. A family needs a variety of products. They need protein, as we have brought here some eggs. So if you give a family a packet of maize seed and fertilizer, they have no source of protein. So you need to provide a variety of them. You may not even want to provide that variety. You need to redefine as to what creates security. For us, as a political party, we believe that security only becomes real when you create wealth at household level. Because let's face it, and we need to be very open. There is a whole range of basket of needs for people. You need in a household, you need cleaning items. You need toilet paper. You need to go to the hospital. They can tell you that school is free. You may need to buy a book. You need to buy uniform. You need to buy a pencil. Now, if you have free education, but you don't have cash security, you are still going to be lacking. And that in itself will require you, if you are lacking in certain essential items like soap, medicine, the basic needs that don't relate to actually eating, it will cause you to sell your grain.
Now, sorry, Madam Edith, a thought has just hit me. I've never thought about this because I went to school in the 60s, 70s, when we used to get free books, free everything, rubber, what.
I did too.
So, it has never crossed my mind. This is why I'm asking. This free education we have, so books we have to buy on our own?
Certainly.
Or they will be giving to those who are less privileged, give them books, give them...
I think that the way the budget is, if you are not even able to give inputs, there's absolutely no way, with the influx of registrations that have happened, the government will go back to giving a ruler, buy a book. It will not happen. And therefore, we need to pull back and say what we need to do to get our people to support this policy. This policy can only be actualized in full if we step back and say, can we now make our people cash secure? That's why for me, I say, as I said last time, that giving out social cash transfer to able-bodied individuals just because you're a widow, you're a single parent-headed household, but you are able-bodied, is not the best way. We need to get into income-generating activities which in turn create wealth in the households. Because, I mean, today I need to eat beans. I can't eat beans for 10 days in a row. I need chihuahua, I need groundnuts. To have chihuahua, you need pumpkin seed. We have moved from pumpkin to butternuts, as you see. You may need to eat cowpeas. You need to eat eggs, so you need chickens in the home. I mean, what we need to do is create wealth at household. And
also some fruits, which are important.
You need fruits. I mean, you go from Lusaka to Nakonde, you don't see a single orange tree on the roadside. Okay, there's avocado, which are growing like naturally. But we need to say to our people, you need to plant not only maize, plant a fruit tree. The challenge which I have noticed as I go discussing this story is that there's no source of seedlings. And where you find, for example, fruit trees, for example, an orange tree, there's a nursery in Lusaka West. A fruit tree is 120 kwacha. So, but if the government could get our old nurseries to start propagating fruit trees, and we all get into it and say export of oranges. We are importing a lot of oranges from South Africa, but we can grow oranges in this country in very, very large quantities. I went to a seminar this week organized by Misamfu breeders, because we have one breeding center for beans in this country, and that's Misamfu. They're the ones who bred these varieties. Mbereshi, they've bred Lungobongo and many other varieties. And we had a visiting breeder from Tanzania, and you know, she put up a map on the wall and said, look, we have actually mapped these beans in Tanzania according to regions. We know that if you are looking for this type of beans, you go to Sumbawanga and you can get, according to what she was saying, she was putting up the figures. She says, in this region, you can get 5,000 tons of beans in this region. This area, and she was saying, this is what you need to do in Zambia. And I was very keen, because this seminar was organized by Misamfu. When they came to tell us how much seed hindering the growth of the bean sector in this country, is non-availability of quality seeds. Because if you get seed from Soweto, you recycle it, maybe, as we learned this week, maybe it's 18 years old. The properties of a seed change with time. It loses its potential, its characteristics, its resistance to disease. So we need to work with researchers, and the government needs to push money into that area so that we get better quality seed, which should be given not just as a token to say you get 5 kilos for your food security. We need to say we need to get our households cash secure, so they can buy, if they don't have eggs, they can buy eggs from the market. They can buy other needs, they can buy meat, they can do anything. They can spend and take their children to school and do what they want. So I think research is key, and we need to have a chain that the researchers and the farmers need to work together. And the traders. That was a discussion that I attended, because luckily they put everyone in one room and say, what do we need to get the beans sector growing? We need the buyer. And I got to learn that some of the products you see in ShopRite, for example, when you go to ShopRite, you see beans there, it's written Satanda, Standard. That's a local beans aggregator. They get beans from the farmers, they clean, they pack, and put in the shopping malls. We have Blue Oak, we have suppliers of seed. All of us were in one room. But what struck me is that whereas in Tanzania is thousands of tons, for this year alone, the growth of seed, the production of seed for Lungobungu, everyone put together, is just like 2,000 tons.
In Tanzania?
In here, in Zambia.
In Zambia?
Yes. There they have moved. I mean, you see all varieties. If you want white, if you want yellow, it's in tons and tons, and they're exporting to Europe. They're exporting to Africa. They're exporting everywhere.
Somebody mentioned to me, Madam President, that the economy of Tanzania is doing so well that we can't compare Zambia to Tanzania. In terms of what you have mentioned, agriculture and everything. My wife and I were in Tanzania, I think some years back. And at that time, I thought we were better than Tanzania. But now I'm told the economy is so powerful than ours.
Yes, in Tanzania, just in the early 90s, they were behind us in terms of gross domestic product. They were all behind us. Those of us who come from the border towns, we used to get our brothers from across the border working in our fields. They will come at Nkwanza Chibaru, I'm looking for farm work. And you give them work. This time around, you cannot get a Tanzanian to work in Zambia for peace work. And what is the difference? The difference is that they had a program which was, we're going to support you in agriculture for a specific period, and we're going to draw ourselves out. So everything now is commercialized. Those people who used to be like on the margin, they are the big grain traders. In Tanzania, you don't see undernourished children. I think the rate of malnutrition is very low because you can literally find every type of fruit, every type of grain, and you find that people are trading in volumes. The difference that you see between Zambia and Tanzania is that in Tanzania, they support their own. Here, we destroy our own. Because who are the gold mine owners in Tanzania? It's Tanzanians. Who are the big hotel entrepreneurs? It's the Tanzanians. The banking system is much more friendly than it is in our country. And therefore, we need to make a decision.
Don't forget, the biggest television owners, not DSTV, not Topstar, because Topstar failed to operate in Tanzania, because there is a Tanzanian man there who controls the whole thing. And the government has given him support. This distribution is not done by foreigners. It's done by Tanzanians.
Definitely. You go to Mwanza, you find that that's where you have those big stations. And that's a difference between us. For us, it's you have beans suspected to be stolen. That's
proceeds of crime.
Proceeds of crime. Now, if you can take 100,000 kwacha today, put in a bank, immediately you're walking out. And this was confirmed by the CEO of ABSA. She says our job is to report that we have seen suspicious activities. So every Zambian account of any substance is flagged for investigations. So, and as a result, money is moving from the official window to banking under the mattresses. If people could go to certain locations, I shall not name them, those people who own shops, they are not banking because they are scared. And that cleans out the money from the official window. It starts to circulate informally. When it's circulating informally, the economy shrinks. I think everyone will agree with me that right now it's very, very difficult to find a kwacha. If you are selling eggs, I mean, you'll be lucky if you sell 10 trays on the street. It's very, very difficult. And therefore, the money is shifting from circulating and creating wealth to a position where the kwacha is stagnant, and then the Minister of Finance says he's controlling inflation, but he's just put a lid on it. And for me, I say to myself that really we are missing a golden opportunity. We are at peace. We are in the middle of 8 countries that require food. It's not just the middle of 8 countries. Look at the entire African continent. You can go from Cape to Cairo. You'll be passing through Kenya. Kenya has got drought. You'll be passing through Sudan. Sudan needs food. So we are strategically placed by God and say, you Zambians sit here And besides the arid areas which we are seeing now in the south because of climate change, I give you northwestern province, I give you northern, I give you eastern province. And therefore, look, if the Israelis can grow bananas in the desert, why can't we grow tangerines in Mpika? I know the former minister of Muchinga province, the Honorable Malozo Schone, he is propagating seedlings for citrus. In Mpika, and the people are coming from as far. I better not say that because the Fiki will visit him. The Congolese are coming to buy oranges from Mpika. They've seen that route. The people from DR Congo are buying onions from that corridor. So if we do the northern corridor and say the rain, God has blessed us with rain, let us not just go with the handouts. Let's go with a program to create wealth in households. You can't create wealth in households by putting up big showrooms there. The wealth that I'm talking about is to get our people from subsistence to creating some extra money in their household. A sum total of even 5,000 kwacha per household makes us a dignified people. And I think we need to shift the emphasis from the Kampompo mentality. The people who worked in the mines, they would tell them in the past that when you are going underground, you take Chikampompo. That was full of molasses. And Chikampompo was very nice. It was filling, but it was energy so that you go and work. Feed this African so that he can only appear for work.
Today's children, they don't know Kampompo. It's called the John Cena.
So you see, the mentality of our colonizers and our looters was that when a miner is going underground, just give them Kampompo. And when you eat that Kampompo, it was filling. It was brown flour plus molasses in there. They make this very, very nutritious thing, and you are eating it today for a Kampompo. You are going to work, you are taking out copper, and it's going out, and you are remaining with nothing except Kampompo. And this is where the West now has brought us. Give them social cash transfer, and they'll be happy, because in the villages, everybody will be saying, yeah, we have social cash transfer. I'm not saying that economics should be all capitalist. I'm saying that I'm a student of economics. At a certain point, Adamson changed it to social welfare. But it is selected people. You don't go to the whole village and make the whole village become a basket case. Because even people who are being given these facilities, they still want to do something for their family. A young man who wants to marry, you can't go to a cooperative club and say, you can't do that. You have to go to your family. After you've received the food, there are other things. You need Vaseline, you need so many things, soap, blankets. Those don't come in the social welfare package. And that's my argument, that we need to think about how we create wealth in households. And agriculture is the answer.
Madam President, let's go back to the real issues. You see, the more you talk, the more my heart bleeds in this nation. I'm not a politician, but I've walked in your corridor for a long time, and I see how when people want to be elected, they talk about coming to build, skyscrapers, making bridges from here to Luapula. It amazes me. However, what you've talked about and what we want to discuss tonight, food security, is very important. Many years ago, I was, in fact, 1989, I was studying in Chicago, and I went to this shop. I bought a gin at that time, 1989, a nice Wrangler gin. You know, those Wrangler gins were hot then, and I bought it for $10. So when I bought that gin, I asked the man, why is it so cheap? Because by me, it was cheap. Then he said, I'd already introduced myself as a pastor. Then he says, Reverend, a gin is for every American when we are working and everything. But a suit is for executives. I don't have to put on a suit when I'm doing some junk work. So clothes in America are cheaper. Years later, my wife and I are in Springfield, Massachusetts, and we go in this supermarket. We had a flat there for about 2 months. We go there and we're just cooking from home. Then my wife likes Vienna sausages, even me. I noticed 24 Vienna sausages packed, very cheap, very, very cheap. And she took about 3 packets. I also took 3 packets and put them there. She said, no, this is too much, we're just 2 of us. However, we took them. When we got there, there was a little sticker that I saw in the corner. Buy one and get one free. So we got 6. Again, my mind goes to, why is the food cheap? They say it's the policy of American government to feed every American.
Yes.
You don't want an American to die from poverty. And I didn't know it was policy. But now they are telling me that it's this. But why is it here in Africa? You politicians, allow me to say you, to categorize you, madam. You've traveled world over. Why have we failed to feed a child on the street? I'm not saying that in America there are no street kids. There are plenty there. But I'm just saying, my grandmother, my uncle, who is in Chinsali, who is in Kaputa, they have no strength to go in the field now. Why have we failed to feed such people?
We pander to the policies of the West. For example, right now we have the IMF policy. What have they touched which is so dear to us? They've gone to our stomachs. And for me, I would have thought that our leaders and the ministers who negotiate with the International Monetary Fund should have used the fact that 75% of our people are extremely poor. That is documented, that poverty levels in Zambia are worsening. Now, so how do you measure poverty? Is people wake up, they don't eat? And what do we Zambians eat? It's maybe shima with beans in Chihuahua, not even... And rape. I mean, if you look at the market, there are 3 very hot items. It's onion, cabbage, tomato, and rape and Chinese cabbage. Take this and compare to a Tanzanian food basket. You find that it's a variety of things. There will be coconut there. They'll be eating rice with lots of ndizi. It's a sumptuous meal. And also those plantains. Plantains, yes, that's this. They'll be cooking plantains. They'll boil beans and put trotters in there. They cook very well because they are looking at not just feeding the stomach, but getting nutrition. So our nutrition levels, besides being poor, are extremely bad. Because we just eat to fill the stomach. Ngati wadya nsima with chihuahua, nishi, kwasira. And it could be 1 meal per day until next day. So in the early days of our independence, the nutrition department used to even go in schools and they tell us, if you eat starch, this is what you're going to get in terms of vitamin. If you eat oranges, if you bodybuilding foods, we had those charts. Do you see them anywhere? No. They've disappeared. So we need a policy which says no one should wake up hungry. And the next question is, how do we achieve that? Can the state feed everyone? The answer is no. The job of government is to feed those people who are in cantonment, the army, the prisoners. That's the job of government. The job of government is not to come to my house and put a food on my table. The responsibility of government is to open my mind to what the opportunities are there and facilitate them for me to achieve them. And therefore, what should the government do is to say a person needs food, a person needs cash, and a person needs to live. How do we achieve that? We can't achieve that in a 10 kg bag of maize, because a 10 kg bag of maize with 4 or 5 bags of fertilizer, you can only come back with 10 bags of maize. And a household of 10 people, you need maybe 20 bags of maize to last a year. Now, when your child can't go to school, when you have a bereavement and you need to feed the mourners, you fall back on your food security pack, which is in the granary. You sell to get someone to the hospital, and that is creating food insecurity. And therefore, the measure of what we need to do to create food security should not be seen in the context of how much maize we are growing per household. And therefore, we're going to do 1 million packs this year, but what would you have achieved? 1 million farmers, you will not even achieve 2 million tons of maize because of the way you're doing it. You may as well do 500,000 and get every hectare to give you 8 tons of maize per hectare. You achieve more than spreading yourself all over the place. And that's the challenge that we have here, that we haven't, as a nation, realized that the agricultural sector is a sector we can use to make households cash secure, for us to secure nutritional status of the nation, for us to create wealth in households so that they are independent. Otherwise, it will be government after government with the same policies. If you do something 20 times and doesn't work, then some people say, then you must be foolish. I think we have been at this feast for more than 20 years. I started it, and KK Katereka took it up. And our plan was that it was going to be a program for 3 years, where you take a farm and say, I'm going to give you support for growing food crops. Let's say you want to grow cassava or whatever, but I want you also to grow a cash crop. If you grow maize to eat, at least grow beans, at least grow soybeans, at least grow another crop, at least maybe keep chickens or something to create your cash security. That way it will not affect your starch requirements. I call maize a starch requirement. Starch is not the only food. We need protein. And we need to get out of this mentality that ngati mwadia porridge nishimwakuta. That's why our children are getting stunted, because of inability to provide balanced diet.
My director, please put the phone numbers there in case there's 1 or 2 individuals that want to ask questions. Like I said, we only have an hour, then we call the meeting off. However, I want to go back to this, Madam NAWAKWI. You see, I've looked at certain things where your vehicle is parked there. There's a mango tree. I took this mango, I ate this wonderful mango, and I kept the seed, so I planted it right here at church. A few years later, it gives me sweet mangoes. This year, my wife and I didn't even taste the mangoes from there because the journalists were resting under the same tree. And we didn't get anything from
I don't think it's the journalists. I think it's the beds.
There was confession upon confession. However, what I'm saying is, I got that seed and planted it. Today, it gives us sweet mangoes. And one also is on the other side of church. And what I've discovered is that Zambians, we like throwing away the seed. You eat the mango and throw away the seed. And yet, every Zambian, if we said, let's grow at least 3 trees, fruit trees, around us. 1, mango. 2, avocado, or any other tree. 3, orange or lemon.
4, pomegranates. For export.
No matter how small the yard is, if you want to put 1 tree, it can be there. I am saying this because if 1 million Zambians had to put 1 avocado tree,
that's
it simply
18 million trees.
18 million trees, right? We are 18 million people. It simply means Zambia can aggregate by going door to door like we were doing the census to say those selling avocados. We can have centers where to deliver avocados. And those we can lift them in crates with the help of government and ship them. You know, madam, my wife and I have done what we could. At one time, I met the representative of the largest airline in the West Indies. And I regret this. Each time I tell the story because I gave the contact to some people in government. And these people were ready to fly the Boeing long-range planes from West Indies direct into Zambia. I'm not a government official. But as a pastor, because I met the head of state there, what I seized the moment to bring the flights into Zambia, straight from Jamaica, straight from Antigua, not going to South Africa. I give it to some government official. Today is just a story I tell. In awe, wanting to say, can't we ship the fruits into West Indies? Because the mango they gave my wife and I there, 2 eggs put together. And they said, Pastor Chuba, we've bought mangoes, come and taste. I said, no, enjoy them. And they were going for $4, 1 mango. I said, please enjoy them. We've got bigger mangoes. You come to Western Province, you go to Mluapula. In short, madam, I think for me, there is lack of vision and political will. Where do we want to be in 3 years' time from now? Where do we want to be in 10 years from now? Now we are just getting examples of how clean Rwanda is, how Tanzania is.
They were at war.
They were at war. And all this, it's quite saddening. It's quite saddening, I must say.
I think that you are right. Our concentration, I think, I don't know, maybe because Sese roads arrived here first. So our minds are always cloned to think that solutions will come from elsewhere. The major solutions for the world are in Zambia. Because Zambia, by its nature, is a country which is blessed. We don't have just the source of the Zambezi for nothing. That is by God's choice. And it's a common umbilical cord for Angola, for all these countries. We don't just have the Chambeshi River for nothing and the plains and the Zambezi plains. This place is a place which can feed the world. And maybe those of us who were born will live because maybe a savior for this country is yet to come. The problem that we have is that when we as leaders wake up. It's okay to be in America. It's okay to be in Tanzania. It's not okay to go to Kalikiliki and see how our people are living. For me, that's a major mistake. And I can assure you, every resident of Jackie compound, you stretch a hand and say, this is what we can do together. Not what you can do. This is what we as government and you together with us as government, this is what we can do. You will see that in Zambia people can produce miracles. I know that the women of Zambia want to work hard. And we have had the proof of that. You just arrive in the village with the beans. This beans is from the villages. Look at how nice it is. It's grade 1 to be exported. This beans is from Malawi, done by Malawian women. If you produce 1 million tons of this, you can pay your debt. This beans is grown in Pika, in Kanchivia. I mean, what do you need? This is grade 1 sugar beans. It can land in a market in Germany, anywhere. If you go on the internet, you key in that is selling sugar beans, they'll say, do you have 1,000 tons? How many trucks is 1,000 tons? It's a lot of trucks. And how much money is that going to one location? And it will change. And why shouldn't we use Ministry of Agriculture, nurseries, to create a wave of just everyone must plant a tree? If there's a decree that you must plant an orange tree this year, or 3 or 4, everyone will do it. You know, and you can decree that this year the army, ZMS, are going to do nurseries for pine trees, for example, and give the ZMS seed. They have agriculturists, they have engineers, and tell them, wherever you are in each district, we want you to supervise the people there. Each family, as we are doing in Nakonde, if we want to extend to Isoka, each family must plant 20 trees. People will do it. It's not by conscription. Madam
President, we don't have to wait for somebody to decree. You and I are going to decree here. Cabinet is equal to the task. My wife and I are equal to the task. We've been talking about this. Sometimes waiting for a politician to act, it's so frustrating. And I don't want, my mind doesn't work it doesn't work every 5 years. Every 5 years, that's when it works. Oh, we will vote them out. Oh, we will vote them in. My mind works every second. I want to pick my calculator. Now we're going to discuss this in the interest of time.
Yes.
When we left last week, we start with pine trees.
Pine trees.
It is a shame that many years ago, Zambia imported trees from some country for ZESCO. And I brought a friend of mine who is a believer. I think they are the largest growers of these ZESCO poles in South Africa.
Eucalyptus.
Eucalyptus. They supply to Mozambique. They supply everywhere. I brought him here. He flew in here. But I must mention that, Madam, corruption is at its height here. Because with the cheaper things that we presented at ZESCO, our paper was thrown out. Somebody had to get something expensive. However, let's go to this, Madam. That pack you brought of pine, you said 1 kg accommodates how many trees?
It's 50,000 seeds.
Okay, just give me time. I want somebody from Chipata, because my cousins from Chipata, I need them to come out of poverty. Eastern province, Mukazimvera.
And that's 50 hectares.
50 hectares?
Yes. And right now, I was buying a ZESCO pole at Zafiko one Zescopo, not the very high voltage, the medium voltage for putting local transmission. So you see a bigger Zescopo, that's probably about 6,000 kwacha.
One
pole. But the one you do local transmission at 400 MV is 2,500 kwacha.
Let's go back to this.
Now, what we need to do, the only challenge is there are no nurseries. That's my issue.
No, we'll come to it. Let's first go to the end. Then we'll come back to this. Because we thought through, you know, you and I have discussed over this. Let's help somebody who is serious. Because we are going to show them where to get the seedlings.
Yes.
We will show them from cabinet. I tell you, sometimes politicians tend to be very stingy because they like being worshipped. You grovel at their feet, Madam NAWAKWI, this and this, we dance, you give us Singakuli Chirilo,
I think poverty is an enemy of democracy.
Yeah.
And this issue, I pushed it very, very strongly when I was Minister of Finance. That you cannot have democracy when people are extremely poor. You end up taking a T-shirt and people vote for you. You see, people use people's poverty to enslave them. This is not just about the modern politician. This is about even the slave trade. This is about even the looting of Africa. They bring a mirror or a gun and you concession the entire area of your land, and you go to a village, someone just delivers maybe 10,000 kwacha, you find they have been given huge tracts of land.
And this
you
is
see, so poverty is an enemy of democracy. And we must say that if we're going to have true democracy in our country, first the challenge that we have to resolve is about cash security.
Let's go back to my work, Madam President. 50, that pack, the
1 kg pack of casuarina,
yes,
or pine trees.
Tell me, last week we didn't say how much it will cost.
It will cost about 6,000 kwacha.
6,000 kwacha. Yes. I want the cabinet viewers to follow me here.
6,000 kwacha,
this is very
but
critical.
that seed is not available in Zambia.
No, I know
you will go to Zafico or other people, they will tell you they have to import from Costa Rica. But one of our neighboring countries is supplying seed to a number of countries. In fact, when you go to QAP, this year I only managed to get 30 kgs. But when you go to QAP, they will tell you, we are sending 200 kgs to Kenya, 200 kgs to this country. People are importing good seed from within Africa.
Let's go to this, madam. I'm using a calculator. You said 50 hectares.
Yes.
It's
1 kilogram.
1 kg.
50,000 seeds is 50 hectares.
So this, they grow in how many years?
5 to 10 years, depending on what you want to use them. And that's the point. We are clearing the forest of charcoal trees. Soon we will have no firewood. And therefore, you have plants like casuarina, which you can use as planks, you can use as firewood. So any minister of environment must actually be singing from the same hymn book as me. The question is, what are we going to do in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, if we don't make a deliberate effort now to start massive plantations?
Okay, 50,000 trees. And you say 1 po is about how much? Okay, let's take 10 years.
10 years, you get it maybe for 2,500 kwacha.
2,000?
Yes.
And the one for 60,000?
You need to grow the big trunk, because those are going to carry the heavy pylons.
So that will go to 15 years?
Yeah, 15 years.
Okay. Let's put it, because it's generational thinking here. If I want to live for my children and my grandchildren, I give myself 20 years. I'll still have that. 50,000 times 6,000 kwacha. It gives me 300 million kwacha, which I cannot earn even if I'm working as managing director. To come this into the bank.
That's the point I make, that if I'm in Muyombe, there's no bank in Muyombe. The people in town, when they say we are auctioning treasury bills, you and I can go to ZANAWAKWI and buy a treasury bill, a bond, a government bond. So what are we providing in the alternative for my relatives in Muyombe? My issue is that let us provide a tree bond. Let us provide a seedling. And say this seedling is today 2 kwacha. Plant it anyway. We are going to give you this seedling for 2 kwacha, but it's 2 kwacha. We don't want you. I don't want to give you as a free. I've put you in my notebook as, Pastor, you've borrowed 10 trees from me. That's 20 kwacha. In 10 years' time, you will sell that tree, say to Zafiko, or a new timber company in Muyombe. And when they harvest that tree from you, they will pay back to the treasury 300 kwacha. You will get your change. The country will get the plants. It is equivalent to telling someone in the village, a young person, say, listen, buy a bond from the bank. When you plant a tree, you are planting a bond for your future. You are planting, you are saving, you are investing. So let us move the debate from stop cutting trees, stop cutting trees. Let us put a financial value.
Yeah.
Let's put a financial value that you've cut this tree, it's okay. If you are cutting charcoal in the bush, I want you, if you cut 10 truckloads, I want you to plant 10 hectares of these seedlings. And I can tell you, in the places where people are cutting charcoal, you will find that if we go in there with a tree planting program, it will kick on, because they know the value of a tree. And this was the reason why we put that fuel levy in the cabinet that I worked. It was meant to use it for non-conventional energy. How do we save the forests when people are cutting? You've heard the debate that people are saying, how do you stop using charcoal? What's the alternative? There's no alternative in the villages because there's no other way other than cow dung. So let's create an alternative. There are fast-growing trees which you can harvest in 3 to 4 years for firewood. You find those in a number of neighboring countries. Where there are no trees, they tell people, plant this, this is your wood lot, this is your firewood. In Europe, people plant trees and harvest their wood lots for firewood.
Actually, somebody was just
that's what we need to do.
Recently that, is it Finland or Sweden? These people, like you said, the research is very important. There is now a forest of mukwa tree, masuku tree. They come to Africa and get this.
Including the tilapia from Kafue is in China. Now we are importing the tilapia
now. Us, we are too good at consuming. But that said, Madam President, this gives me 300 million. If we say there are 1,000 serious Zambians, 1,000 serious Zambians, it gives me 300 billion, 300 billion kwacha. Divided by our kwacha rate, it's 18.7 billion US dollars. Do we have to borrow from IMF
actually,
after 10 years from now?
That's why, even this year, we didn't need to borrow the little money we have collected from tax and whatnot, we needed to sit down and say, what do we do that can earn us money very quickly? These beans, you plant it in February, you harvest February, March, April, May, you are harvesting. And you've already placed orders. If it's $900 per ton, you just tell each member of parliament and say, for those of you who are in beans-friendly areas, you as MP, I want you to deliver from your constituency 2,000 tons. Go there and do it. I'm telling you, they will deliver so much grain that it will be a joy to export. I don't subscribe to the concept that Food Reserve Agency should just be buying. I want to see a Food Reserve Agency which is an agent for looking for markets. And the money to run Food Reserve Agency should not come from the treasury. It should come from the cooperatives, which give it grain to sell on their behalf, 5 to 10%. And I want to have a country where, as you rightly put it, what is it that we can do to earn money in a very short time? Like this year, where the country is stressed with money, and this money from IMF, it is conditioned upon you doing 1, 2, 3, 4 things. If you don't do it, it disappears like smoke. There are conditions, there are milestones to drawing that. Now, if you want money which you don't have conditions, you want to know who in the region or in the world wants butternuts from Zambia. You call them organic. Who wants honey? And we get to mobilize people. I mean, Zambians are productive. They just need to be assisted. May
we go to this, Madam NAWAKWI? I want this beans. You say it's grown here.
That one is from Malawi.
It's from Malawi.
But it can grow. It's a climber. Yeah. This is red speckled beans. This is the most famously traded in grain boards in the world. It's called red speckled sugar beans. And this is in that same class, but it's a larger beans. Any sugar beans, if you get one color, one variety in quantities, it will sell. Including this one. I learned a new name, they call it red morton. It's in Beresh, because this blade at me. So anything we do in quantities, we'll sell.
I'm asking this out of ignorance. Can my uncle, with 20 hectares, if he concentrates on beans, just on beans for 20 hectares, can it be of value?
Yes, because to get 30 tons, you need minimum. What I've discovered in the market, people are getting interested if you have 30 tons, because they want to load the backload of going back to South Africa empty. When they bring these big earth-moving equipment, they want to load at least 30 to 42 tons on the truck. And they don't want to mix this color, that color. They want to pick up one color. So 20 hectares at the minimum of 2 tons per hectare will give you 50 tons. So you'll be over the limit of 30 tons plus. You are telling the neighbor, I've, like we consolidated this week, had the balance of like 10 tons. Another person had 20 tons. We made 30 tons. So you go in clusters. So 10 hectares is good enough. 10 hectares with 50 tons times $900 today's prices. What is that?
You said $900.
Yes, that's 45,000. No, cash. If you have 50 tons of beans, you have about 45,000
times
US dollars.
50.
Yes.
It's 45,000.
Yes.
Dollars.
45,000 US dollars.
And this is
now
how many months?
You plant in February.
Yeah.
February, March. It's 80 to 90 days at the most. The longest maturing would be like in the ratio, which would be maybe 120. Sugar beans would be about 80 days. The researchers will advise In fact, there's a booklet which Ms. Samfu has issued, a guide to growing beans. You know, our people, our young men and women have been doing research for years. They've taken Kabranget from Soweto, changed its properties. Like I said last time, this beans doesn't give you gas. They've bred it. They put vitamin A there. They are now looking at how to put other vitamins in the beans. They are busy in the laboratories. Now we, in the field, must take up the research and run with it. So if you say, uncle in the village grows 20 hectares, they are not alone. Go in that village, find there will be maybe 100 people. Let each one just grow a hectare. That will be 100 hectares. That will be 200 tons in that village. Let them do it properly with the advice of the researchers, the extension officers. You will be able to get 200 tons in one village. And how many villages do we have? And we are not saying push it to a level where they are growing 20 hectares. We are saying do a hectare per person. Do a hectare per person. Vana mumizi ngati mwawauja uti tileta seed, tizakupasa na fertilizer na chemicals. Limani 1 hectare. Vama lima. I noticed in Eastern Province when I took sunflower and soybeans that the women were very interested. In fact, before you get there, you find they've prepared the fields and you are just giving out the seed. These chickens which lay these eggs, the black astrolopes, we gave them a lot in Eastern Province. People have black chickens, they are all over.
Before we go to the chickens, can you facilitate, madam, for Team Camnet viewers, can you facilitate for seedlings? It may not be enough because Camnet is countrywide, and you remember we only received one phone call from Cynthia in Canada.
Yes.
And I know she's watching here and she's got relatives in Zambia. But can you facilitate for seedlings of this?
You mean for seed?
Yeah, for seed.
Pastor, you heard what I said. I said the researchers indicated in the meeting that of this variety, which really I want us as a nation to push, there's 2,000 tons.
2,000 tons.
2,000 tons. That's not much. You understand? That's not much because a hectare needs 60 kgs. So how many hectares is that? And a kilo is going as much as 35 kwacha for seed. So if I say
a kilo,
yes, if I say I can facilitate, it means I can supply. That's the reason why I'm here. I'm saying the government has money. They can source this seed from Zimbabwe, from South Africa, and bring truckloads and give to our people, and the harvest will be Chirindamatula dust. Through the members of parliament, through the councillors, you just say, Katuwa councillor, come here, and look, we have for you as a constituency or as a ward, a ton of beans. You go and do 50 hectares. Do everything properly. Use a constituency development fund money to get the chemicals. That will be done. If you say to me, Samfu, now that there's a shortage of seed, there is a shortage of seed, a critical shortage of good quality seed. Because if you buy seed from anywhere, you find that it's mixed colors, it doesn't yield, maybe it's polluted. If you say to me, Samfu, today, next year we want you as a research station, because they are the breeders. They breed, then they go in the field and get people to multiply. We want you now. Camnet TV wants me, Samfu, to deliver by March 3,000 tons of this seed. They will do it because they have a contract with you. You are the uptaker, you are going to multiply, and you are going to sell. So, yes, I think that people need to know they can get this seed from AfriSeed. The seed company is in Mungwi Road. It's run by a very, very vibrant lady. She's a seed multiplier. The company is called AfriSeed. You can go to Good Nature Agriculture. They are in Makeni somewhere, Linda Puja. They supply this kind of seed. they supply all varieties of seed in terms of beans, groundnuts. They even have the fast maturing groundnut seed called Wamsanga. I didn't ask for their permission to advertise, but I'm very proud of what the young Zambians are doing.
You know.
So these are the places where you can get seed. You can go to ZAMSeed. You can go to ZAMSeed. Those are the ones I know would stock beans.
You know, I like your attitude, Madam NAWAKWI. You see the information you have and the way you are offloading it here on TV. Others would have said, I'll wait for the campaign time.
No,
that is being retrogressive.
I don't want to go to the campaign and people asking me for food. I want to go to the campaign of the 1990 where I get to the village in Nakonde, they slaughter 6 village chickens, then you eat and you are happy.
No, what I'm saying is, you see, this information is what politicians withhold for their own benefit. When I come, I'm in power. I will do this, I will do this. Meantime, there are some people listening to what you are saying. Some MP somewhere who will never come and tell you that I heard this from Madam NAWAKWI. They will implement, you know, privately, come 2026 and say I've done this. In the meantime, they don't even acknowledge Cabinet. They don't even acknowledge Madam NAWAKWI. They just say I've done this. But I like your attitude.
No,
because
I'm also
this is what Cabinet is all about.
I'm proud of MP for Kanchibia.
Chanda.
Yes. We met, I said, look, I'm working in your area. He said, what are you doing? He listened. Before I knew, he had taken this Mberesh into, he got his money, personal money, and bought lots of seed and distributed to households in Kanchibia. So if you are looking for Mbereshi, go and buy from Kanchibia. But the point we are here is to say, where do you get good seed? So we need to embrace Misamfo, because when we place orders through them or through the 2 seed companies that I've mentioned, they will then multiply, because good nature agriculture is actually working in Eastern Province, Mbala, Nakonde, Mpika. People are working quietly.
What about this?
This is cowpeas. I think I brought some white cowpeas there.
Yes. Yeah, these ones.
Yes. This is a product which is very easy to grow.
Yeah.
Cowpeas has 2 different or 3 types. This is white. This we locally consume it. Nyemba, they call it nyemba. There's another type which is brown. That is internationally traded.
And this one?
This one you can sell, but they say unless it's a bigger seed, you go into Angola, they'll be looking for a bigger seed. It's much more difficult to sell this traditional white one. But there's one which you buy from AfriSeed. It's brown. I've forgotten the trade name. You just say you want the cowpeas, which is not the traditional one from my village, this one. They'll give you a cowpea which you can even sell to WFP. You can go to Good Nature Agriculture, you can go to ZAMSeed. If you want sunflower, you go to ZAMSeed. Go buy Milika. You go to MRI. There are a number of seed companies.
So, Madam NAWAKWI, I'm interested in the international market, because one of the things is not just to have food security, it's not just to have our people grow this in bulk, but my prayer to God is to have Zambians who can have money in their pockets to eat what they want, to buy what they want, not when they buy a Toyota IS or Cavanet. Anti-corruption is knocking at the door. Proceeds of crime. I think this is
This is different from the other one.
This is different. These are the smaller ones.
Yes, the smaller one.
So, I hope the Anti-Corruption Commission also are watching this program. even you, after you retire, you have prosecuted people falsely or correctly, you need these seeds. Don't think you die, want corruption. We should all work together. Now, I would want a situation, madam, where the Zambians can come together. For our Camnet TV, there is a group we have put. It's called Team Zambia. And we have got the app where I communicate with my wife. And after we did this, there is a lot of excitement. And they wanted to know. So we can plant these beans by February.
Yes. I'm not an agronomist.
I hear you. You're an economist.
For example, I didn't know that a pig, that's now animal husbandry, I didn't know that a pig, you need at least 11 months to harvest. So when I started the piggery, I just thought it's like a chicken. You put a pig in 3-4 months, you get your return. I was shocked to learn that a pig gets pregnant for 3 months, then it delivers, then the baby grows for 6 months before you can harvest. So we need to trust the staff in Ministry of Agriculture. Advice is free. So I'll tell you that grow these beans in February. That's rain-fed. I'm harvesting beans from Chirundu right now. We planted in April. In April, May, June, July. We are harvesting now. So you can do rain-fed, you can do irrigation.
If you've got,
but when I was trying to plant rain-fed in July, in Lusaka, the people from myself told me, don't plant, it will not flower because October is coming. So for me, I've learned that you open your mind to learning, you learn a lot. This is the point I was making last week. I'm doing breeders, broilers. I didn't know that you have to vaccinate the chicken to be able to have a good chick. But the scientists are everywhere. You just ask, they come and advise you for free. This egg is from an astrolabe. It's fertilized. You can incubate this in 21 days.
They are very tasty.
Yeah, we tested them.
The two
They are organic.
My wife and I, yes.
They are organic, and this is the difference between the commercial layers and these ones. These are fertilized. These are like from my mother's village.
Let me ask my director to put that clip of the same chickens. Mr. Director, please put those clips so that people can see the chickens we are dealing with.
And they are fertilized. If you don't put a cockerel, they'll still lay eggs.
So you say the characteristics are like that of the same?
It's called astrolabe because it's a breed. It was bred in Australia. They did a cross between a village chicken and a broiler. There's another one called croiler, which is a village chicken and a broiler. But this one is called black astrolabe, signifying where it was bred and where it started. It was done in Australia. You can go to South Africa, you find different beds.
Can we buy eggs from your farm? When I say we, I'm talking about Team Camnet. Can we buy eggs from your farm for breeding?
Yes, I mean these are fertilized eggs. We are now picking like 50 trays per day. So like today we have 100 and something which were picked. These were picked this evening.
So now?
So you can buy eggs, fertilized eggs for incubating. And this is also should go to Ministry of Agriculture. Thank you for the free advert. That those people who have incubators under the social cash transfer, Ministry of Agriculture, where are they getting their eggs? They can get their eggs from us. If you don't want eggs, you can buy, I don't like to sell day-old chicks. I want to make sure that the chicken is strong. You can buy 2 weeks old. You can buy point of lay. So you can choose what you want to get. Do you want eggs? Do you want point of lay? Do you want a chicken which when you get it the following day it starts to lay eggs? So we can supply as many eggs as Team Cabinet wants. Team
Zambia.
Team Zambia.
I have one member, Mr. Madienkuku.
Oh, okay.
Madienkuku, not the minister you were with, his young brother.
Yeah.
He's my church member.
Okay. How many trays do they want?
I know that, no, he should be watching. I know that he will say, Pastor, I need those trays. He's got an incubator.
Okay.
Because how much is per tray?
Well, I mean, we'll discuss off camera.
Off camera. That is a good one.
I don't want the FIC to start following me. But just to say, because this is also a project which I'm so passionate about, that I would want people to have chickens. We will not sell at the price that breeding eggs are being sold. I think if you go to the hatcheries, 1 egg is going like as much as 9 kwacha, just 1 egg. But for the purposes of getting protein in people's homes, we will sell these eggs at the commercial rate, meaning like they are going to be eaten. And I tell people, look, if you are buying for breeding, the price is different. So most of our contacts, they say, I'm going to eat, but then I've seen a lot of them are breeding, which is very good.
I'll tell you.
I'm not making as much money, but in a few years' time, I'll be happy to know that you can pick an egg in a home. If you have 10 chickens, it means that you have 10 eggs per day for 360 days.
The feed, is it so expensive?
The feed for black astrolops is not as expensive as for broilers. At livestock services, they will give you feed for grain-fed chickens, meaning for village chickens. You can feed them the feed for village chickens. And they do have formulations for that. You can, because these can free range.
They can free range?
Yes, you don't have to quarantine them. They are breeding them for like, you know, you want 2,000. And you want to have a situation where you have a lot of them, you feed them nice, they grow faster. And then you pick up your eggs, because we want to have a return. But most of the people we are giving the chickens, they free range them. They put them on the local cockerel. You can mix with them. You pick up these eggs if you don't have an incubator. You put them on your village chicken when the village is about to roost on them, and they'll hatch.
Let me just leave a few minutes for people to ask questions before I let you go. This is too good, because this is empowering a Zambian. Madam, I like what you said. Zambia is a country that destroys its own citizens. And we are very proud of that. There are organizations that will make sure that they follow Madam NAWAKWI until they squeeze blood out of her. Now,
Pastor, let me just say one thing.
Yeah.
10 astrolops laying 10 eggs per day times 365 days. How many eggs is that?
Mathematics was not my good subject, but thank God for the calculator. 10 times 360.
That's 3,600 eggs. Let's assume you had 90% hatching. Let's just say, take a figure and say 100% hatching. Because astronauts are very fertile, you get 95 to 90%. You are talking of 3,650 chickens.
Yeah.
From 10. Now, multiply that by 85 kwacha.
It's 85 kwacha one.
I mean, on the market, I'm taking the price of a broiler now. If you were to slaughter them and sell them as broilers, 3,650 times 85 kwacha, the current price of a chicken.
It's 310,000
kwacha.
250 kwacha.
You see that?
And this is
and you tell me, is it very difficult for the empowerment program to give every household 10 chickens? They'll eat the eggs, they'll sell the chickens. They'll eat the eggs, they'll sell the chickens. Which is better, to give them cash or to give them the chickens? That's the question that I'm saying, that let us stop the Ceci Roads mentality of give them kampompo.
Let's pick up this call. Hello, good evening. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
What's your name and where are you calling us from?
My name is Reverend Muhango.
Reverend?
Yes, sir. And I'm calling from Mons.
Reverend Muhango.
Yes, sir.
Please go ahead and speak to the nation.
Good evening, Madam President.
Good evening, my Reverend.
I'm one of the trained agriculture trained assembly, but Dr. Zero were watching to start up a program in Yombe where I'm coming from. Last week I tried to get through, but I didn't manage. And I was looking at the production of the poles, of course, doing the sugar beet, and the other tax groups within Murambe. Yeah, so what I wanted to ask of you was for a contractor, if they want to get through to your place, get the seed, and advance so they can start to do the back home in Murambe. Because I'm under the truck and main ones.
Yeah, Reverend Mango, listen, if you needed the Madam NAWAKWI's contact, you should have just contacted the Cabinet TV. Because if I air her number, there are people who like her and those who don't like her. So I would protect my guests here. You just say, Pastor Chilo, I would want to get in touch with Madam NAWAKWI, then we can facilitate.
In fact, thank you very much for that, Reverend. We are keen to expand the beans project to Muyombe because one of our mapped good beans growing area is Muyombe. Beans is growing very well in Luwingum, Loon Temple, also those areas. So, like I said, Honorable Chanda is pushing in Kanchibia. We are also working in Kanchibia. If Reverend can push in Muyombe, then we can get tonnage from Muyombe. We need lead farmers in specific areas. So I would also be very keen that we exchange numbers because it's easier that someone who knows the terrain can go and sensitize the people. It requires you recruit, you train. I know we are working in Kanchibia, but I know that one of our other colleagues is now working in Nawaria area, around Mpika and that area. So we need lead farmers. Even if it's to start with half 500 kgs of seed. Because if you get 1 hectare of beans and do it properly, under the supervision of seed multipliers and growers and breeders, 1 ton of seed will give you 40 bags, and you are off, you are started. If you do it in January, early January, you harvest by, say, March, and you replant, you are off. So we need lead farmers to do this program. But my plea is that the ministers of agriculture should stop politicking. Let's sit and discuss as Zambians.
Absolutely.
What do we want to do? Okay, people don't like me, but maybe if I work with Reverend, they will go and talk to Reverend.
No, there are few who don't like you. That's another side to the story. You are feeding the nation here, and the knowledge that you are imparting, like I said, there are few politicians who come with a mind to develop Zambia. That's why when my wife and I chat with you, we are always saying, Madam NAWAKWI, she is cabinet material, because here we don't want people who just come to talk and give wrong figures for the sake of a vote. And my son, the Kanchibia MP, Chanda is my son.
Oh, really?
He hasn't even told me that he has started.
He's a fan of beans, and he's doing it for nutrition. Because this one is bred as a nutritious product. It provides vitamin A. And look, if people are eating Wondwe and are eating Kanunka, as a member of parliament, be proud to take something which is palatable. And that's why, for me, with Honorable Chanda, I say, I wish I had MPs like him who say, what is it that I can take to the people and do that. We are doing the tree planting in Akonde. I'm not a member of parliament. As I'm talking now, the young people were updating me that they've planted over 300,000 again this year, the seedlings. This year, and they're still multiplying, but we are not going to sell. Our strategy, let me tell you a business secret. It's a secret. If you plant, yes, it's a secret. It's a secret.
Yes.
It's a Zambian secret. If you give away these trees now, as a member of parliament, for Luampa, everyone plants trees in Luampa. In 5 years' time, Tata, you can go with a sawmill and buy back the trees. The community will get something, you also get something. Isn't that a secret?
And also, in terms of rains, it will be good for...
And maybe if all of us can do 50, 100 hectares in our constituencies, then we can ask the Minister of Finance to go to COP something and draw back the carbon tax or whatever they call it. I don't know the Chizunguchama environment. If we all start planting, we can pay our debts, because the government will go and queue up and say, hey, Zambia is planting trees and contributing to...
Bring the carbon. Let's pick up this call. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
I'm Mwamba calling from Mufrira.
Mwamba from Mufrira.
Yes, sir.
Please speak to the nation.
Yes, thank you for Pastor Nuwa and the President NAWAKWI. Yeah, I'm just concerned over one thing.
Yes, sir.
What Madam NAWAKWI is talking about is very real. But the problem that we have is a choice of the government to propel the agricultural sector, which should boost the economy of the country.
Yes, sir.
But my complaint is that whichever government comes into power, overlook this policy. That we should empower people in the line of agriculture. The planting of the seed which is mentioning, including the poultry, is very important. But to my dismay, or to my surprise, is that whichever government overlook the sector and we make it something else. So, let's advise this government which is in power, or whoever is going to come in future, that let's put things in place so that we don't see the sector. So as people, we cannot talk about employing about the 10,000, 12,000 figures. When there is a sector which is lacking, which can make us move Pastor Tua, have been following the program of Pastor Tua, which is very important. But again, what are we doing as a nation? Not to set the line of the policy. We may say we have this thing. What policy do we have to support the farmers, to put in poor farmers down there, so that they can produce enough? There's no policy putting all the people government we can have. There's no policy that supporting the farmer to keep losing. Frankly, crop will grow. Look at what is happening today. If farmers are crying, farmers are still crying. There's no policy supporting them. Even if we can have 10,000, 100,000, 50,000 tons, there's no policy supporting them so that they can plant enough and produce enough for this nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mwamba. Madam NAWAKWI, this man, Mr. Mwamba, says what is lacking is the voice of the government. And I think before you come in, I don't know, for me, sorry, you heard me when you were in the government, the way I used to talk, madam, I haven't changed. And the boys who are coming up and the girls who are coming up now, they may think that I've started talking today. Sorry about this. These things that you have talked about, to get land, one doesn't need the government. If you have land, let's begin from there. If I have 50 hectares, 10 hectares, let's begin from there. At least get something that would fit your budget. And when it comes to marketing, you are still here. Comnet, by the grace of God, is still here. And we have Team Zambia. We are coordinating with the farmers throughout Zambia. We can still pick up the grain and say there is somebody in Mufrira, Mr. Mwamba, and we pick up. There is Reverend Mwango in Miyombe, Monze, we pick up. We can aggregate. That's what you are saying. Because sometimes if we wait for the voice of the government, sometimes the government...
We the people, are the government.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we give too much credit where it's not due. What is government? We are the government. And the question is that, yes, we need a leader to give us direction. If you're not getting that direction, take it upon yourself. Like, I'm so passionate about the fact that we shouldn't be undressing ourselves before IMF because there are solutions. I don't want to just be on the street and say, don't go to IMF. I'm saying these are the solutions. Last week when we were talking about these beans, there was an inquiry from Tanzania asking as to how much can be grown in Mpika, which they can pick up, because they have huge markets. So the uptakers are there. Even in Zambia here, I started by saying standard. If you go to ShopRite, go and look for packaging called standard. That's a Zambia. Go and these products are already on the shelves. And it's not just about beans. In April, every April, there is a shortage of watermelons in South Africa. So if you plant January, February, March, April, if you plant watermelons here in January, when the trucks for fresh milk are going back to South Africa, they can go back with the watermelons, but there is never enough. Once I had an inquiry from game stores for about 150 tons of watermelons. Now, you find that when I grow watermelons, you go to fresh market and say, I have watermelons. They give you a contract, they do. I mean, I was one of those very early farmers for ShopRite. When they were importing tomato from ZZ2 in South Africa, a colleague from Amiran took our samples to fresh market. Oh, this is great. We import it. He says, no, it's just here from Lusaka West. And the people from South Africa are the ones who got the order for us to start supplying tomato to Freshmark, because at the time all the tomatoes were coming from South Africa. So we stopped importing tomato. You see that? We've stopped importing tomatoes. Someone had to do something, and that wasn't government. We did it, individual farmers did it. Now you go to ShopRite to find there's oversupply of tomatoes. So here too, we can oversupply watermelons. But when? It should be strategic for export.
Let's pick up this call, Madam President. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, Pastor Susan, and good evening, Madam NAWAKWI.
Good evening, ma'am.
How are you?
I am Robina Muni calling from Livingston.
You are who?
Robina Muni.
Rodina.
Robin.
Yes, Mrs. Muni from Livingston.
Mrs. Nguni, please go ahead and speak to the nation.
Thank you very much. We are enjoying the talk that you are giving us as a nation.
Yes, ma'am.
I know Father Suruga and Mama NAWAKWI. You have directed us to be the warriors of this world. We are intending to be behind you. Because whatever you are saying, we are trusting them. All I want you, because they have already started going into whatever advice you have given us, Pastor Suruga and our mother, Pastor Mrs. Suruga. And in addition to what NAWAKWI is saying, please continue the good work we are doing. We have already retired, we are already on the ground. All what we want is the guidance that you are giving us and the help that we need. Like the rest is talking about the eucalyptus tree. We have already started, only that what gets the seed. It's not easy to get them. I've already planted about 5,000. This week I'm going to put in the ground this year. I will need at least even an half kg of whatever you are saying.
I'll give
I want is the contact number so that we can talk, so that we get whatever we are looking for.
Madam President here, she is whispering to me saying I will give her the seed. What you do, Madam Nguni, please, the number 0962965883.
Okay.
After this program, my wife and I will go with it. It's usually with my wife and I. So give me your number. You say you are from Livingston, Madam Nguni. Then we'll connect you to Madam NAWAKWI. And let's begin the program. Even you, Team Camnet, this is your number. You know Team Camnet, especially Team Zambia. You have another number where we enlist they don't use 883. There is another number which we use for those who are joining this program, and we believe we will change the nation. So what you do, Madam Nguni, just write a text to me on 965883. If you write the number in the corner where it's written prayers, we are praying for Zambia.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Madam Nguni.
I know that there's a nursery in Kalulushi. It's a private nursery. They sell trees. I think they will be able to get the price. I'll give you the number. I know there's another nursery in Lusaka West, although I was briefed that the trees were pre-ordered. I'm very proud of
Madam
yes, because it's people like her who make things happen. And I think what we should do as Team Zambia is to say that tree planting is one of our priorities. And therefore, we need to have a meeting outside this studio and plan as to how to push it, because there are a lot of people. We had in Nakonde people coming from as far as Chinsali to pick up seedlings from Nakonde. That's expensive, but we can start as Team Zambia at a modest rate. A nursery in Livingston, a nursery in Chiwombo. If we do even 2 packets in Chiwombo, that will give us maybe 100,000 trees.
You'll be so
it's a
shocked.
start.
You'll
It's
be
a
so
start.
shocked, Madam NAWAKWI. My wife will tell you that after our program last week, we had several people requesting that we visit the Copper Belt, the serious people there. And even before you agreed, I promised them that I'll bring Madam NAWAKWI. So you have no choice. One day you will have to go with us.
To the Copper Belt.
To the Copper Belt. Because that region, Solwezi and all those, people are serious. Even Livingstone. We visit people like Madam Nguni. I mean...
in fact, our sisters in Kenya, the government arranged, I think it was a European Union program, where if you plant 10 hectares, they reimburse you for 5 hectares. That's what I heard. And most of our sisters in Kenya, they've taken tree planting as a business. And obviously with the incentives from government, where they are being encouraged that their cost of nurseries will be taken up. Young people have, you find someone, they tell you, I'm a farmer, what do you grow? I grow trees. I've got 200 hectares. And I dream of a day like that when a young person say, I'm doing trees. This story about trees, I just didn't start it today. In about 2012, we went to Copperbelt University, picked up about 6 young people, boys and girls. We took them to Zafiko for incubation because we discovered that the graduates from our colleges some of them don't even know how a seedling looks like. They have done the theory. So luckily, Zafiko agreed to incubate them for 6 months. As a party, we paid for their upkeep, we paid for their accommodation and food. The idea was that these young people, when they graduate, they'll start nurseries in the districts. And if you put a...
That was FDD party?
Yes, that was a program by the party. I mean, we get donations for the party. We choose to buy either a T-shirt or a bicycle. So we agreed as a party that let us incubate these young people, because tree planting is really something that is good for the country and is good for the world. So when these young people graduated, our dream was that they'll be given back, they'll come back to us, and then we can post them to say, Chibombo, start a nursery. They will serve as a training center for other farmers to do nurseries, and they also have to do their own woodlots besides the other agricultural activities. But unfortunately, when they graduate, when the incubation was over, they were so good because they are educated from the university. At this point, they've known how to germinate a nursery, to do a nursery up to harvesting. Zafiko took them over. Yeah. So FDD lost. But we didn't lose, they are working for Zafiko. So that's okay. We are not compensated, but I'm very proud that
you are a blessing to
you can do these things. Equally for fisheries graduates. Let us stop running around and say, no, everyone can be a fish farmer. No. Take the graduates from Kasaka, incubate them, drop them in the middle of Ikeling, and say, you, as a government, we are giving you 20 fish ponds, but you are the training center for the people. And don't dislocate them. If they come from Ikeling, take that young man or woman to Ikeling and say, government will support you. Instead of social cash transfer, we are going to give you a fish pond, but you are going to pay back by training 100 youths around you, and then you facilitate for them to do fish ponds. Each sector has graduates. Not everybody can be a cobbler. Not everyone can be a soldier. Me, I'm a jack of all trades, but there are things I don't know. But if you want a cadre of dairy farmers, go to ZIA. Get the graduates for the last 10 years who have been in ZIA. Put them in service training. Give them dairy animals and tell them, where do you want to settle in your village? Here you are. They are our eyes for the government, for training people.
Let's pick up some text messages. I know there are people who, I'll tell you what, Camnet Team Zambia, you'll be shocked. We are in the thousands. Good evening, Pastor and President NAWAKWI. I've been following this program. I'm interested in growing a variety of crops. I've learned, but I need to partner with some someone, of course. Please help me. This is Harriet. Harriet, okay. Thank you, Mr. Director. Okay, ma'am, I really want to be close to you. There's a lot I can learn from you. I got myself a piece of land in Impika for farming, but I don't know where to start from. This is Mrs. Sakala.
Mrs. Sakala can start from beans.
Okay. Before the text messages, Mr. Director, let me say something to the nation. If you can, those of you saying, I've got like Madam Sakala, Harriet, please do me a favor. Send your text, because where you have written, it's for the studio, and we don't take that phone. So get it on 0962 965 883. If you can send on this number I'm pointing at here, then my wife and I will respond to you either tonight or tomorrow. By the way, we also sleep, you know. We are human beings. But we will respond to you. Team Zambia, and those of you that want to join the Team Zambia, where my wife and I communicate agriculture stuff. Even when we finished with Madam Edith, I went to Team Zambia. They have their own phone number. Please text on that number again, 0962 965 883. If you text on this number, by the grace of God, we will enlist you if you want to join the Team Zambia. As long as you come peaceably, we don't want confusion. You just come there to spy, and what do these people? We don't like witches. So may God bless you. Mr. Director, please give us some text messages. Good evening. I'm interested in planting fruits, especially lemons and mango or any other fruit at my farm. How can I go about it? Your response will be highly appreciated, of course, Mana Temwani from Copper Belt. Go to 883, the same text message. Madam, send it to that number and we'll pick it. Madam President and Pastor Chuba, Zambia favors investors than its people. How do we progress when there is no land for Zambians to work on? Opportunities only come to those in power. What's that?
Joy from Lord.
Capital is what we need as a youth number. Vali tuposa kuwaya. Vajo, if the government throws you kuwaya, muka shite price, muka putoe waya. No kufuma. Actually, and this is what we are doing.
I think that Vajo, when government throws you kuwaya, na imumwa waposa kuwaya, because what does it take to germinate lemons? You eat a lemon, the seed there, you plant it. That's your beginning of your orange trees. You go and cut a tree from the branch of an orange, a good orange, and graft it, you have a seedling. But obviously we need the educated young people from the NRDC to help us. You see, we are the capital. Factors of production is land, labor, and capital. Sometimes you have land, you don't have labor, you are the labor, you don't have the capital. So we have to be creative. I have seen our friends come from Italy, go to Serenge, and start picking mushrooms. And they are now the biggest investors in this town. There are people, I can't mention their names, but these are people from outside. There are foreigners come. Look at our brothers and sisters from Rwanda. Some of them came here as refugees. They're doing far much better.
Now they are employing Zambians.
Yes, where were they? I used to meet some of them in Kwamwati, Sompola. They are buying maize. You know, this is groundnuts. This is groundnuts. I'm sure if you come from Eastern Province, in your village there's some groundnuts. That's capital. You can fry it, you can roast it, you can make pumpkin
powder.
You can make groundnut powder. So if we stop looking at a problem, we look at a solution.
It will help.
It will help. Because I think that, yes, it's difficult. We can't ignore the fact that it's difficult because our communities have been reduced to a position of subsistence. That's why we now have the social cash transfer. And my worry is that the social cash transfer is going to be like the coupons under UNIP.
But my solution to that, Madam NAWAKWI, my wife and I looked at that. For what you have on the table, for the eucalyptus and the pine, I think I know some businessmen that I can go to and knock at the door. They join this program to just give us those packs so that if we can have, like Madam Onguni said, if we can have half kg and we distribute to everyone, Zambia will be transformed. So my wife and I are on the implementing side.
Not everyone who comes across a seed can germinate it.
No. I'm talking about what you have on the table. Okay. Because take for example,
yeah, for the beans. If
beans,
you can give each one 5 kg, they'll produce 18 medals. 18 that comes 5, that's 40, that's 90. You see that? If you give someone a 5 kg, they will give you back 90 kilograms.
Even in the eggs.
Yes.
So why we say that you come back on this program today? Because my wife and I looked at the solution, the way we want to take. Pantu na ifelimo, government yadi tupo selling kuwaya, but inenye ndana price ndaputula mawaya yonse nafuma nokufuma. So we should be able to come to a place where we say we are the solution. Yes. We are not the problem. We are the solution.
We are the solution.
Let's work and help the government. Let them facilitate for us. We work. We'll do everything. We shall take in cocoa. Madam, these 2 trays, if I need 2 trays, do I need to go to government? Surely. There is a man who started...
120 na 120 na mshare na 160 chickens.
So, surely, you know, Limo Uchushi, Madam NAWAKWI, I always say that it's in the mind. The way we think is what makes us to be where we are.
It's not the way we think. The way our leaders want us to think. So that we are perpetually yoked to this thing called poverty, which provides a political gain for those
to stay.
Yes, because when the elections come, I'll come with beans, I'll come with eggs. If I give each book, you see, this is what has destroyed us, and this is what our leaders need to work on to cleanse that you are what you want to be as a nation, as a household, as a child, as a people. No mwana kusukulungolera noti iwe chali badalo tachaka pase mwana ngaisa ati nangu na feruka walanda ati listen. I was reading a book where this young man comes home to the mother. They had said this one is untrainable. So gives the mother the letter, and the mother says, they are saying at your school that you are too brilliant to stay in that school. So I'll homeschool you. And this boy became the inventor of our time. If you are telling your people you are poor, you are useless, where did you get this money suspected to be stolen, they'll go into the protective mode. Their minds will shrink. They won't be able to think. We need a leader who says you can be better off where you are. Like our leaders like Mrs. Nguni, that's a leader. I have 5,000 trees. Where can I get more seed? Before you know, Livingstone through her can have eucalyptus all over. So if I were Minister of Environment, that's a lady to follow. And when she influences, yes, when she influences her followers, you get the political gain. It's not the other way. You as a politician, you can't influence a following because you don't have the power. The people on the ground have the power. Absolutely. Get Reverend Muhango to go into Muyombe. He's going to introduce me as EDITH NAWAKWI is the one who has facilitated for the seed. That's my political gain. I don't know why politicians are so... My political gain is to be a facilitator. Absolutely. Not a manipulator, no. Once you facilitate, people acknowledge you. We are acknowledging you, Pastor Nabama, because you are facilitating. You are known all over the world because you are facilitating. But if you start to manipulate the TV station, you also be known as a manipulator, equally in politics. Because you have too much money. You can never have too much money in politics. Even a bank in politics, if you are not creating that money, it's not sustainable to just give it out. It's not sustainable. This is sustainable. This is lasting. This is impactful. And there are many things you can do. It's not just about chickens and pigs. It's about rabbits.
Anyway, Mr. Mwamba also said that there should be a political voice.
Yes.
I'll still invite Mr. President and the Minister of Agriculture. Listen, you don't have to just mobilize UPND people, UNIP people, or this. Look at them as Zambians. This politicking, no new PF, no new UPND, it should come to an end. Let's talk about this. There is no FDD here. These eggs are not stamped FDD. The eucalyptus. Zambia can earn more than 600 billion kwacha in 20 years from now. So, Madam NAWAKWI, you know, I said I'll keep you for 1 hour, 30 minutes. Now we have gone to our normal program. Let me just take 5 text messages. No phone call, Mr. Director. Give me the 5. Okay. Good evening, Pastor and the FDD President, Madam NAWAKWI. I've enjoyed the program from last week. We need you and Pastor Chiluba to continue with such constructive ideas. The problem, Madam, this country does not like people with brilliant ideas. Forget about the insults from social media. Sosa, Ichalo, Chile, Kumfwa, your Livingstone, your Livingstone Chondwe in Kitwe. She's encouraging you. Honorable NAWAKWI, I would like to thank you most sincerely for the information that you are freely giving out to Zambian people. We need this kind of atmosphere where our leaders exchange information for the development of our country. Congratulations to Kamne TV for such wonderful program. Rogers in Ngambi in Lusaka. 3 more text messages. Good evening, Pastor and President NAWAKWI. Where can I find sweet beans growing for 90 days? I can spare 2 hectares. Okay, we've got this one, and whoever you are, we've got that. Good evening, sir and Madam NAWAKWI. My name is Nelly Piri Mambwe in Indola. Thank you so much for that program. I am learning. May I have Madam NAWAKWI's number, please? Okay. Okay. The last one. Good evening, Pastor and Madam President. I like this program. Keep on educating us. Thank you. That is our last text. I want to thank you, Madam President, because if somebody, how do I put it, when someone's elevator has not reached the top floor of their thinking, ngayali jama pakati paya, they would come up with political sentiments. But those whose minds are open to developing Zambia, everyone, including the UPND, listening to this program should thank you, because you are facilitating, you are helping, you are opening their eyes, you know. And this is what CAMNET is all about. I look forward to living in Zambia where we talk about developmental issues, and also to ask DEC and anti-corruption, FIC, please, I know you are doing your work, but allow the Zambians to think out of the box. Not you are makuma eggs, proceeds of crime. I'm just appealing. And let's not use the organization to settle scores. Your last words.
Thank you. Picking from your last words is to say that, in fact, even the framing of the word is wrong. They say reasonably be believed. Who is reasonable to believe? It's subjective. So I think that when Zambians have resources, if they build a house in Kavulonga, that is going to be in Zambia. They are not taking, I think that the push which they are doing, they are actually saying Zambians who have money should keep it in the Bahamas like some leaders have done. But those who are honest enough to keep it in Zambia, I think allow them. I mean, I still feel that we need to focus on wealth creation. And those that have money, let them spend in building the houses. That is buying cement. Cement, you are paying tax. The tax is coming to Constituency Development Fund. But if you say to them, go and bury it underground, they bury it. It's useless. So if I were to do the same program and I was given the opportunity, I know that we are over time, I would have said, those who have money, prove that you've paid tax on them. And if they haven't paid tax, I tax them and say, now it's legal. At least it will be in circulation and the government has taken some money. But to say to people, you prove and then you are getting, you are disempowering them, they are going to be on the social cash transfer. So in other jurisdictions, like they did in India, they said those with money, we are changing the currency, can you bring it? And people brought it. Here you could easily have said, we want you to pay tax on the holdings that you have. If you find someone has more money in the bank, say, pay, you give amnesty and say, pay 15%, we are giving you half of what you would ordinarily have paid. And you'd have seen that you will transit peacefully, economically, and we are all still friends. But the way it is, it's like punishment. But I'm calling all members of parliament that they get to their research stations, put some money in research for whatever crop is in your area. Whether it's pineapples, get the Constituency Development Fund to go to the local research station in Northwestern Province for beans and pineapples. In Northern Province, let's put money into beans research at Misamfu. That will help all of us. Let's put money in placing forward contracts for seed, for crops that we want, whether it's beans, soya beans, and let these seed companies, whether they are private companies, plan. If you don't plan the season today, next year when you want seed, it won't be available. If you want groundnuts for Eastern Province, go to Good Nature Agriculture, because they are working in Eastern Province, and say, you want groundnut seed to be delivered next season. Then we will take off. 2023, we'll get the country to start on a proper footing.
Amen.
So I'm very grateful for the opportunity and for all the callers. I truly appreciate this rare opportunity to be heard. And social media, yes, they can insult, but fyari kubira. Fyari kunkuma. Mafta.
No, I'm so grateful. And you know what I fear, Madam NAWAKWI? Two of my friends, we received something from Kenya with my wife. Two of my friends were at State House praying for President Ruto. He called 40 leading ministers, pastors there. They prayed for him. They went through the grounds of State House and what. And the information coming from there, I fear that Zambia being a Christian nation, we may start learning from other nations again. The way other people behave, you think of Magufuli, you think of this, you think of that, I pray that our president will open his mind to things like this so that we dilute political punch and just move out to working instead of creating animosity. And to all of you that want to join Team Zambia, and you say, Pastor Chilula, I want to be part of Team Zambia, the number again, Mr. Director, you have moved it out. Just flash it there for me. Where it's written prayers, that number, my wife and I will pick up your call. We'll pick up, we can chat during the day. Please don't call me at 01 and say, Pastor Nimfirukulala, I need prayers. Let's be serious. Send the text messages there. Just now, all of you who sent to this studio number, transfer the same messages there and what you would want us to be if you want to be part of Team Zambia, you want to have some time with Madam NAWAKWI and everything, may God richly bless you. We will do that. Cynthia in Canada, I know you are watching. Madam NAWAKWI wanted your number. We also said we'll give you, we'll give her your number. You are a blessing. You are our ambassador. And those of you in the diaspora, may the Lord bless you. On behalf of my wife, the CEO of this great television station, the technical people, and the leadership of the church that I pastor, let me tell you, church members, I always say to church members, Madam NAWAKWI, that this church is not just a church, but it's a training center for greatness. I push certain ideas that I look forward to develop my own God-given millionaires in the church. Millionaires, people with ideas. To all of you church members, you are a blessing. And to those who are watching, may the Lord richly bless you. Please get in touch with Madam NAWAKWI through Camnet and give me that message. In the meantime, I'm very grateful, Madam NAWAKWI, with your full program. And I know you have a lot of things on your plate. I can only pray with my wife that may the Lord be with you.
Thank you very much
and
for the
keep
prayers.
you.
Thank you.
Amen.
Amen.
Please keep watching Camnet TV. Remember, Camnet TV is not just another channel. Bye-bye.